If you are not 18 years or older, this video content is not intended for you. Good morning, everyone. This is Ida of Created to Create. I have a new die that I want to share with you. As you all know, or if you watch me at all, you'll know that I've been really liking the Spellbinders, Susan Tierney Cockburn's garden collection. Even though I say I'm not crazy about making flowers, when I do make them, I like them to look realistic. So that's what I like about her collection. Now this one is, I picked it up at on Spellbinders online because it was not available on Amazon. And this one is called the Hybrid Tea Rose and Teapot. So this is a very nice die. And I do have to make a get well card. So I'm going to do that. And I want to share with you how nice and big, like there's my hand and there's the teapot. And then it also comes with the lid. There's the lid. So I haven't made my card yet, but I wanted to share with you the flowers that I created using her dies. Look at how beautiful those are, guys. I think they're absolutely stunning and they look very realistic, except for the glitter, of course. I did pull out my glitterific because I am including these in my poinsettia box that I created. You know, because a lot of times we like to use roses, even though it's, you know, Christmas and we normally do poinsettias. We like to tuck in our roses here and there, and we like sparkle and all of that. So that's why I'm including these so the recipient can use them. I did cut them out in white paper and then I colored them in. Here's a couple of the small petals. I colored them in with my markers, and I will link these markers that I picked up on Amazon. They're very light colors. So to do the pink, I used, I'll tell you what numbers I used. The R135 and R139. So those are the two colors, as you can tell right here on the petals. They're lighter on top and then darker in the center. But these are the two colors from that box that I use. I did cut out a yellow one just to try, because I think when someone gets ill or anything like that, to cheer them up, I think yellow is a very bright, cheerful color. So I want to do the teapot probably in a blue and add the yellow roses. So I'm going to show you how to create the yellow rose, and I have everything already cut out and prepped. The only thing that I haven't used, I'll tell you what else comes in this set. You get a bigger 3-petal die, and it says it's got a 3 and an X. That means you cut it 3 times. You do need 3 for the rose. And then you have the smaller one that has a 2 and an X. And for these, you only need 1 for the rose and 1 for the bud. So you only need 1. And then these extra petals by themselves, it says 3 times. So you need 3 petals. So you need 1 of these for each rose. But the other are for buds. So you only need to cut 1 of those if you're making just 1 rose. And then you get this piece right here, and you cut that out 1 time. This you roll up to make the center, this little cone in the center. That's what you use that for. That's what that's for. And then you do get foliage. So here are the leaves, the rose leaves. See how they're jagged like that on the edges? That's the way the rose leaves are. So you get 2 big ones and 1 little one. And these are, again, to just tuck in. And then this is to put under maybe a bud. And then you get the stem for the bud as well. So here is the stem. And she does have a video for this. So you can just go on YouTube and look for her. She's got a video on how to put that together. I'm just going to do a quick one and just share with you how pretty these flowers are. But, you know, they're not real time consuming, but it is more work because you're having to fill in the buds separate, the extra leaves separate, but it's not too bad, guys. So I have mine already pre-colored, except for and pre-shaped, except for a couple of things I didn't shape. That way I can share with you how to shape them. So let me share with you how to shape the petals. And you do all the petals the same, even the individual ones. So another thing, what I put on the sparkle that's on the roses is the pink glitterific. Guys, if you picked this up a couple years ago when everybody was picking it up, you really need to use it, because mine is getting very thick in there and hard to use. So I'm sure eventually it's going to dry up. And I don't know if there's anything you can put in there to, you know, to get it to thin it out. So I'm not sure if there's anything that you can put in there, but mine are starting to dry out. So you're going to be seeing that in a lot of my projects, because you know how we are. We got to have all the colors. So I made that mistake, and I have a bunch of bottles that I need to try and use. Unless I can find somehow how to thin it out and make them last longer. So anyway, you paint your flower, and I did paint mine front and back. But the shadowing with the darker color, I only did it in the front. The back, I just did it in the lighter color. So, and I'm going to show you these markers. I love these. These are the brush tips. So this has that soft, I'll show you. This has that soft brush tip, kind of like a Copic marker. And then you have the other one, the chisel. And this one's a little bit more firm, but the tips on these are like the Copic markers. So I really like that. So you're going to put your petal face up, and I hate to say this, guys, I really love the Spellbinders tool that Susan put out, but it's just not made right. You guys, if you watch my other video, I had it replaced. They replaced it, it came in, and yesterday when I was creating just those 3 flowers, my tool snapped again, and I was being more gentle, more careful with it. It's just not made right. So I'm sorry, but I wouldn't recommend it. So anyway, so all I'm taking is this, because this is what I have. It's a ball tool, and I'm just going to drag it from the tip in towards the tip of the petal down here to the center of the petal. And that's all I'm doing, just applying a little bit of pressure to kind of break down the fibers in the paper. And I'll do that on all 3 petals. And then I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to do the same thing, just with a ball tool. I did order a new set that's supposed to come in today. The main tool that I liked in that Susan Tierney's tool set was the veiner, because I didn't have one, but I ordered a new one, and hopefully it'll come in. So that's the way you do those. The individual petals, you're going to do the same thing. This is the tip of the base of the petal. So you're just going to drag from the top to that little corner. You're going to flip it around, and you're going to do the same thing. So there's that. Now, first of all, let's make the cone. This piece is the piece which is the bigger one, and it says 1x. So it means you only need 1. This is the part that makes the center, that makes this little cone that's in the center of the rose. So I'm going to start by this bottom tip right here. This is the bottom of the petal, and this is the top of the petal. So I'm going to start by dragging the same thing, just dragging towards this little bottom tip. I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to do the same thing. And that's all I'm going to do, just to break up the fibers on this. Now, you need a pair of tweezers, or you need some type of quilling tool. Whatever you have will work. I have these fine tip tweezers here. Let me make sure my glue is not clogged up. I actually was up late last night messing around in my craft room, but you know, these things sometimes will dry up, and I want to make sure it's not. So the tip down here, all I'm going to do is flip it around so the tip is to the top or at an angle. I'm going to grab the edge of the petal over here, and then I'm just going to start rolling it. I'm just going to roll it. So that's going to make our cone that's in the center of the rose. we're going to add glue down here because remember this is the bottom. So we're going to add glue there. And I'm going to close it up and I'm going to pull out my tweezers and just kind of roll back and forth in my hand to make sure that it's glued down. And while I'm holding it there for a minute, I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm going to start turning the tip of the rose out. Just rolling it out and giving it that pretty shape. I hope that you guys can see what I'm doing. And that's all I'm doing, just shaping the rose as much as you can get in there. That looks pretty good. And I'm just going to set that aside. But before I do that, I will be honest with you guys. I like to cut a little bit off the tip. And I'm going to do that when I go to put it in place. So just set it aside. Now, you're going to need 3 of your bigger petals. The 3 petal one die cuts. And all you're going to do is you're going to pinch it down the center. And you're going to pinch it forward towards the front, towards you. And this is the front of the rose. And you're going to curl. I hope I'm in frame. You're just going to curl those petals down. The tweezers work. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I like to use these. I'm not going to use these because not everybody has them. But what I like about these little needle nose pliers, that they have the round barrels. So when I pinch it and I roll it, I'm going to get a smooth roll and not like a fold. So I like that about those. So whenever I'm creating just like not for a video, I tend to use those. I wish they would come up with a tool like that, because that would really be great for shaping flowers. So that's all you're going to do. And you're going to do it to all 3. So I'm going to do it really, really quick, hopefully. But all I'm doing is folding these out. Now, if you go to do it right after you colored it, your paper will be too soft. So make sure you give it a little bit before you do that, because then it's not going to hold the shape. So I'm just using regular, I think this is like 80-pound paper, but if you have at least 100-pound paper, that would probably be better. But you know, I've been using scraps. These are just scraps that are lying on my desk, on my little craft island, that I cut something out and I didn't use the whole sheet. So I just cut them out in white scraps of paper. So this is a great way to use up your scraps, because they don't take too much to cut. You don't need like a whole big piece to cut them out. So there's that one. And we're going to do the same to the smaller one. Again, we're going to pinch it and just curl the outside. So if you have a stash, even if you already have a rose die, guys, you don't have to have this one. If you already have one, you can use this technique. You can use this technique on it and you might be pleasantly surprised. So that's all I'm doing, just catching those edges and turning it out. Okay, so let's stack these together. I'm going to remove my mat because I don't like to get glue on it. But I do have that little sponge that I kept. Oh, I forgot one thing. One thing, guys. Make sure to cup the center of your die cuts, your rose petals. So there's that. Now let's bring this in. So I'm going to take the bigger ones and I'm just going to start layering and putting it together. You could use hot glue, but I'm just going to use, make sure you're doing the big one. The small one goes on top. So you need to layer 3 of your bigger ones. And that looks pretty good right there. I like to use my ball tool to kind of press it in the center. Add some more glue. The next layer. Make sure to turn this in a way that the petals are staggering. There is a way for it, you know, just kind of turn it around until you get it to where they're staggering. They're not one on top of the other. You don't want that. Okay, now we're going to add the little one. So it's 3 large ones, 1 little one. Here's the little one. Like, these are really quick to put together, but you know, if you want to save time, you can cut them out in colored paper. But I wanted to I like to color, even though I'm not a colorist and I'm not real good at it. It's relaxing to me, so I like to do it. But it would have been faster if I would have cut it out of a colored cardstock for sure. Okay, so there's the outer petals of your rose. Doesn't that look pretty? And we're not even done. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take that little cone that we did. I like to trim off a little bit at the bottom because I don't want it to stick too far up. So it's just like a little bitty piece that I cut off. And I'm going to add glue, plenty of glue to the center of that. If I was using hot glue, of course, it would set faster. And just put that little cone in the center. Look at how pretty that looks. But we're not done yet. We got another little step to do. So remember I said we needed those 3 loose petals. And we're going to shape these the exact same way that we did the other ones. We're going to fold them, pinch them, and turn out the edges. And we're going to do that to all 3 of them. And they're all different shapes. Now you can cut extras to fill in your rose wherever you feel that you need more. But I just used 3 on the ones I did, and I think they look beautiful. So we're just going to turn this out. The purpose of those flowers is we're going to put them in make sure your cone is in the center, and we're going to add these right around the cone, but we're going to position them in a way, so add plenty of glue to them. We're going to position them in a way that they're in between. We got 3 petals here, so we want to make sure that they are in between 2 petals. So I'm sorry, I know you can't see really well what I'm doing right here, but I'm just kind of just squeezing it in between 2 petals so it's staggering. I don't want the one petal on top of the other if I can help it. So I'm going to add glue again to the base of my flower, and I put glue in the front and in the back so it can attach to the cone and attach to the previous petals. So here's another one. You see the 2 petals here? So we're going to put it in here so it'll be in between these 2 petals. So we have 1 more, and look at how full that's looking. So we have the last one to go. So like I said, if you want to save time, cut it out in colored cardstock and then add maybe some more color to add highlights to it or deeper in the center, but you don't have to. So the last one we're going to put in here is going to be in between. I know you can't see it, but there's actually, yeah, you can. There's 2 petals right here, right? So we're going to put it like right in this area right there. And make sure you push them all the way down. And the purpose, like I said, is for it to hug. Let me take it out. Look at how pretty that is. And that wasn't very difficult to do. And let me see, there's one of them that I did that I put 2 layers. I think it was 1, 2, 3. Gosh, I can't even tell. There was one that I put 2 layers of the small one, but I don't think it's necessary. Look at how beautiful and realistic that rose looks. So anyway, guys, that's all that I wanted to share with you. Like I said, I did get it on the Spellbinders website. It is not on Amazon, but I will link my markers that I picked up, and the markers are pretty reasonable. And I do have markers, but they were the stiff ones, and I kind of wanted something that would blend easier. And I felt that the brush, like the Copic markers with the soft tip brush, those tend to blend better. So So that's the one that I picked up, but I think that the rose came out beautiful. I'll link those markers in the description box. Like I said, this you need to go to Spellbinders and look for it, the tea rose dye and Teapot. But that is what I have been working on. I hope that you like what I created. Look at that, guys. I hope everyone is having a great Saturday, and God bless. Bye.